hear ye, the quarter swinger. I'm just about ready to do that thing. I don't want no stuff. I won't want no lies. Most of all, I don't want no alibis. This judge is hip, and that is cool. He said, peace, brother, peace.
Yes.
Like way before Rakim.
Yes. God damn, that's... Don't you miss that though, man? Like, I mean...
No, because I listen to all those things whenever I feel like it.
Nice.
A new record don't never have to be made for me. There are millions and millions and millions of songs that our ancestors left for us.
Facts.
So people be crying about new stuff. I'm like, why are you crying about hip-hop? You're just lazy.
That's the beauty of technology. You can just go and just
in the crates.
dig in the crates. You could download a record. You could do any of those things.
Man, let me tell you something, bro.
Yeah.
The greatest lie in the history of the world is that hip-hop was created in the Bronx from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That is nothing further from the truth. You know?
If you're hearing that voice, if you recognize that voice, people, that is the legendary Paradise Gray, architect of the X-Clan, legend of the Latin Quarter. We're literally in the vicinity of hip-hop royalty. What's poppin', people? Welcome to today's episode of Say Less with Kaz, Lowkey, and ROSY. My name is Kaz.
Yeah.
What's going on, Low? And we are here with Jake. What up, Jake? You here? If you hear the echo, if you hear the room, the reverb of everything in here, we are live in the Bamboo Studios for Sovereign Brands. Shout out to our good friend Madison for hosting us as always. And joining us, if you recognize that very familiar voice, the one and only Paradise Gray.
Chill.
What's going on, family? How you living, partner?
Chilling, and no disrespect to any of my wonderful, incredible Bronx pioneers, brethren, and sisters. I just wanted to start that off on the 50th anniversary of hip-hop.
Yeah.
To let everybody know that we're just scratching the surface on where hip-hop really came from, and to tell the stories of so many ghetto superstars and heroes that was not just there at the beginning when hip-hop was created, but participated and gave so much blood, sweat, and tears to it. So I'm going to spend the rest of this time giving homage and saying a whole bunch of names that people don't generally hear when people discuss the founding mothers and fathers of hip-hop. I just want to mention a bunch of them. And once again, no disrespect to people whose names you have heard before, whose stories you have heard, because I'm the greatest fan of Cool DJ Herc, Grandmaster Flash, and Grand with the Theodore, Grandmaster Kaz, Grandmaster Melly Mel, and the like.
No, go ahead. I mean, I was just saying this is why I know it's an honor to have you on the show. You know, like this is we have a lot of hip hop artists come through, young, older, you know, mature, 80s, 90s, whatever. But like you said, this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Hip hop was born 50 years ago this summer in Sedgwick. You know what I mean? At that house party. You know what I'm saying?
And even that is debatable.
That is debate, and this is why it's so important to have you here,
and
because you've lived it. Yeah,
I believe that the August 11th date is an arbitrary date. We had to pick a date somewhere. I think that's a great place to, you know, pick if you want to pick an actual start. But there were DJs who were already DJing for years before 1973. There are B-boys that were breakdancing. Well, I don't even want to use that term, breakdancing, because breakdancing is a colonizer's word.
Is it?
Yes.
Give us the real name for what's done over there.
It was B-boy and B-girl.
Thank you.
Know, break
Thank
boy
you.
and break girl.
Thank
you know, because they danced during the breaks. You know, and before that, we did a lot of dances that you could qualify as a dance that would be done by a B-boy or B-girl, but the dances have been being done from Africa to America since we could walk. There's an old ancient African proverb that says, if you can speak, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And the movement and motion in hip hop, the dances come from all over the world throughout the diaspora and throughout time.
Yeah.
You know, these things are timeless. If you look at a lot of old black and white movies like Cabin in the Sky, you'll see our elders doing moonwalks and backslides and actually getting in ciphers and battling against each other, b-boying.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you brought up the actual term b-boying, because in the actual culture of hip hop, those breaks, those long, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, 6-minute breaks when the DJ's just going in and looping a beat and scratching and bringing it back, you know what I mean? Like, that was a time where, you know, where the culture was truly established when it came to dancing in this day and age. But you brought it back to a level where, you know, before many of us even realize, you know. So before we get into Africa and how that all lines up with how hip hop was born, let's talk about what you said earlier about August 11th being an arbitrary date in hip hop being born. When it comes to documenting the history of hip hop, you're a living, breathing part of it. So I feel like you'd be the best person to ask this question. Why did August 11th become that date? Like, you already know that this already had a buzz. This already, you know, hip hop was already growing and it was sprouting everywhere else. Why did that party in Cedric in August 11th become the official birthday of hip hop?
I believe that because many of the legends and pioneers have signed on to it, you know, and they respect Kool Herc. They love Kool Herc for his contributions, and many of them were there, but not too many people was there. I mean, you know, that was a house party in a community room.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
This message is brought to you by Discover. Did you know you could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection? The latest innovation from Discover. Discover will help you regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data, and they'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
You know how many jams there was? I mean, Grandmaster Flowers, the original hip hop, the first Grandmaster of hip hop from Brooklyn, by the way, he DJ'd at Yankee Stadium. In 1968, he opened for James Brown at Yankee Stadium.
Say
a
word.
DJ from Brooklyn.
Say
he was
word.
so popular, and you know, Flowers was the quintessential mobile DJ with the big giant sound system, who used to bring it out in Brooklyn on Reese Beach or whatever, and have 50 to 75,000 people, you know, dancing their butts off. And you know, another thing I like to say is that hip hop is the bastard child of disco, funk, and R&B. You know, without disco, there would be no hip hop.
Now explain that, because at that time, you know, disco was the dominant genre. And I think as disco started to kind of like lose its momentum, I feel like a lot of people thought hip hop was going to have the same sort of fate. It was like, oh, this is just a fad. Yeah. Oh, this is just something that's just kind of coming and going. You were there, man. You weren't just there. You're an architect of it.
Yes, sir.
You helped build this entire thing.
I rewind to my humble beginnings. I was 7 years old, and I was living in 1715 Buckner Boulevard, which is an address that should be remembered just like 1520 Cedric and Cedar. That is a building I lived in. On the first floor, and on the second floor, a DJ by the name of Disco King Mario lived in the same building as me. And he used to DJ in an old laundry room that he had turned into his record room because his mom got tired of him banging the music in the crib. So he would be in there spinning, and I used to go in there, and he would have records all over the floor, all over the place. And because my mom had a big record collection, she had taught me how to care for records. So I used to go in that room and put all Mario's records back in the real covers and put them in the crates and put them in order and stuff like that. So that's how I learned a lot about, vinyl and DJing and stuff like that, So a lot of people, when they talk about the first founding father DJs of hip hop, they leave Mario out because they try to say, oh, Disco King Mario, he was a disco DJ. Well, before 1982, if you was worth your salt as a DJ, of course you was a disco DJ.
Right.
Or you didn't make no money.
Right.
There wasn't no money in hip hop.
I was about to say, like, hip hop wasn't even, like, I don't even know if there was even a name for it yet. You know what I mean? It was just, right.
And another moment of clarity is that when you said disco was a genre, not to us. Disco was not a genre to us. Disco was a scene. It was a place to be. If you look at old school hip hop flyers, 85% of them have the word disco on them. Mm-hmm. So don't try to look at the word disco and think we're talking about Studio 54 and the image that comes to your mind of a white woman in a long gown spinning around, high on coke. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Ring My Bell.
Yeah.
We're talking about, I want to thank you, Heavenly Father. That was our disco. George Clinton.
On me.
Sly and the Family Stone, the Mary Jane Girls, Rick James, that was our disco. Disco was a place that we went to listen to good music.
The discotheque.
The discotheque and the disco, what people think it is two different things. What would we be without the Disco Twins, the Disco 3, the Disco Fever? You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think the lines are so blurred?
Say what?
So why do you think the lines are so blurred?
The lines were so blurred because it was all music to us. We didn't have a name for what we was doing.
Right.
We wasn't practicing hip hop, but we were practicing all of the elements of hip hop for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. Think about it. The Mayans, the Egyptians, cavemen wrote on walls. Graffiti existed long before hip hop. DJing existed long before hip hop. And you could trace the roots of hip hop DJing all the way back to Frankie Crocker and all those guys on WWRL, and even, you could trace the roots of a MC to the DJ. The DJ was the first MC, which is master of ceremony, who controlled the crowd,
So take me into a scene where the first MC you saw, like when was the first time you went to a party, went to a discotheque, or went to a event where somebody was spinning, you know what I mean? A break beat happened, we saw somebody dance, whatever. And then somebody took the microphone and started moving the crowd, being the master of ceremonies. Describe that first time seeing that moment happen.
I think for me, the first time I was exposed to that wasn't live. I think the first time I was really getting the vibe of that whole, all the elements coming together was like listening to Hollywood and Lovebug Starsky. You know what I'm saying? But we was watching it come together right in front of our eyes in the street. We didn't even really recognize what we were seeing. In my community, when I moved from the Bronxdale projects, I moved to a community named Highbridge. But before that even, Mario would bring his equipment out in the park in the Bronxdale projects, which is not that far from Bronx River.
Yeah.
And Mario, his MC was named Busy B. How about that? And his right-hand DJ was named DJ Jazzy J before he was with Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation. And, so that's why I give Mario so much props, because that's where I saw it. But everybody lived in different communities, got different things, So there was a lot of cross-pollination. In fact, Mario was so important that for the first year that Bambaataa DJ'd, he DJ'd on Mario's equipment.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, on the west side, where Herc was, there was a DJ named DJ John Brown.
Okay.
That was a DJ that inspired Herc. But you never hear about him.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because when people who originally went to the Bronx to get the stories of hip hop, they talked to who they talked to, and they took it as God, as gospel, as the Bible. But there were many people that were never named, like DJ Smokey. Have you ever heard of him?
I've heard of people named DJ Smokey, but I'm pretty sure it's not the same one you're talking about.
Well, back in the day, there was a DJ named DJ Smoke or DJ Smokey, and he had a crew called the Smokatrons. And he also had a crew called the Master Plan Bunch.
Okay.
And Grand Mixer DXT is one of the disciples of DJ Smokey. And DJ Smokey had a record boy named DJ Flash. And Flash never mentioned Smokey. But Smokey is on numerous old school flyers battling Kool Herc. And every time he battled Herc, he lost. Not because Herc was a better DJ. In fact, Herc and Bam couldn't DJ their way out of a paper bag back then. I'm sorry, but it's true.
So what made a good DJ back then? Because I know what makes a good DJ to me now.
Well, how you going to beat Herc if you set up over here, he sets up over there, and he turns the knobs on you and no one can hear you?
Damn, yeah.
So Herc turned the knobs on his Macintosh amps, and your sound system was a tree that fell in the forest. No one heard it.
He was around, nobody heard that joint, man.
Right.
My goodness.
But Smokey was playing break beats. Smokey had B-boys. Smokey was doing everything that Herc was doing, but he didn't have the whole package. It didn't all come together.
Right.
But after he would lose to Herc, he would go out and DJ all night and pull big crowds just like Herc in the same community.
Yeah.
Not far away.
Yeah.
So
a question I have, man, is, I always say that not just hip hop, but just music, culture in general is usually designated by your surroundings, right? And what's going on in the world at that time, right?
Yes, sir.
You're in Highbridge in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? It's the mid 70s or late 70s, I want to say.
Early 70s.
Early 70s. I don't want to age you too much.
For the record, I'm 58 years old.
You look good, man.
Thank you, sir. I was born in Freedom Summer, 1964.
The Freedom Summer.
In North Carolina, and my mom decided she didn't want me, my sister, and brother to grow up picking cotton and tobacco. So we followed her sister to Harlem. And, my mom stayed in Harlem with her sister. Me, my brother, and sister went and stayed in the Bronx with our cousin, and that's how that happened. But moving over to the Highbridge community, like I said, there was a DJ there named Pete DJ Jones.
Okay.
And Pete was like 6'9". He was one of those stand-up disco DJs too. But
that's why I should put a basketball in his hand.
Pete was no joke with that too. But he had a bar called Pete's Lounge on 164th and Ogden Avenue.
Okay.
And it was also named Club B&J at one point in history. But Pete used to mentor Hollywood, Love Bug Starsky, Curtis Blow, Busy Bee, and Grandmaster Flash.
Damn, that's all the legends right there.
Right. So if he mentored those DJs, how can you leave Pete DJ Jones out of the hip hop equation?
So I mean so tell me what the Bronx is like in the early 70s, like as this is happening, like this
atmosphere, what's the environment?
My God. Some communities were totally devastated. It looked like Ukraine. It looked like Russia got mad at them and just started dropping bombs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was so bad that it's like when New York City flushed its toilet, it came up in the Bronx. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were disrespecting us. They called us the Bronx Zoo. There was severe poverty. Sometimes you could walk 20 blocks and you won't see one building that wasn't totally burned up and burned out. This was not long after they built the Cross Bronx Expressway, and the Bronx was a victim of a thing we call white flight, which is everyone that could afford to moved. And that let the rent go down so low that, hey, That's where a great concentration of African American and Puerto Ricans congregated.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it's no coincidence that we were together at the birth of hip hop. You know, some people like Fat Joe like to try to say that Puerto Ricans invented hip hop 50%, and I say, well, a lot of Puerto Ricans were there, but 50% is a high number, bro. Like, you know, you got to check that math.
He got a lot of flack for that comment too.
Yeah. But you know, I'm glad he said it though. I'm glad he said it. But what I really wish is that next time somebody make a statement like that, that they have the facts to back that up. Because I say, okay, 50%, okay, Grandmaster Flowers, Pete DJ Jones, Disco King Mario. Where are the 50% that are their equivalents? Nothing? Okay. Kool Herc, Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash. Where's the equivalents?
None.
There you go. Okay, Grandmaster Kaz,
Now, okay, so all right, so
Grandmaster Melly Mel.
all right, so I hear you on that, and I'm just gonna play devil's advocate here, right? Like the same way you just mentioned a number of guys who were as influential to the hip hop scene at that time that weren't Kool Herc, that weren't Grandmaster Caz, that weren't Flash. Like a bunch of people get left out of the history books because of who tells the history.
Okay.
You
well,
know?
Okay, I'll be fair with you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be God's advocate.
Okay.
Okay. God's advocate is I can name the people that I'm telling you who are missing.
Yeah.
Tell me their names. That's all I'm asking.
So you're saying there's no backup, there's no...
Right. There's no facts. There's no there to there. Like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I'm listening.
Who are they?
Who are they? You know, you do a terrible disservice to some of the people who were there and who did contribute, you know, who were Puerto Rican, you know? Well, who are they? You don't know? Then they don't exist. Give me the receipts. The beautiful thing about me is that I've collected and archived hundreds of items and thousands of items of memorabilia and artifacts from my experience and what I lived. I can show it to you any day.
It's all there.
Yeah, show me the proof. I got the receipts.
Now, as this is happening, X Clan is being formed, or you guys are.
long
This is long
time
before.
later.
This is long time later.
before. Yeah, and in Highbridge, actually,
Okay.
I actually became a popular street DJ and MC and artist myself there, and you know, I was DJ Paradise, and I was with a crew.
So you DJ first.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was DJ Paradise. I was a DJ and an MC. And my crew was DJ Playboy and the Brothers 3 MCs. It was me, Kid Zeke, Crazy Kev, and Paradise. You know what I mean? And then after that, my boy Bob Rock and Iceman joined our crew. And we were the most popular crew on the west side. Mind you, we were less than a mile from 1520 Cedric and Cedar in Highbridge. You know? So it was pretty cool, you know. And there's also another legendary DJ from our community named the Grand Imperial DJ JC, who, in my opinion, was one of the two best DJs of all time from back then. And those two DJs is the Grand Imperial DJ JC and Grand Mixer DXT. Nice. You know, they were the A-team. And after them, to me, was Grandmaster Flash and Grand was the Theodore, you know?
Do you believe that there's a lack of urgency to learn this information?
Absolutely. And, you know, Brooklyn and Queens, you know, Flowers wasn't the only DJ in Brooklyn. There was Maboya. It was a DJ Plumber. You know what I'm saying? And in Queens, it was the Disco Twins. You know what I'm saying? And inner city disco and a whole bunch of people that we never heard of. And when people try to tell us about these things, we turn our nose up. And unfortunately, the song "The South Bronx," it really was an opportunity that MC Shan gave us with the song "The Bridge" to learn a rich history of DJs that went way back in Queens, like Jappy Jap and all those names that MC Shan was naming. Those guys are real. Those are serious history right there. And, you know, even I got caught up in the hype of the Bronx and Queens. And, you know, I didn't really do my research, even though I know the Disco Twins and I knew of them and King Charles and other DJs from Queens. But, you know, we really need to look at that song, The Bridge, and listen to the beginning of it and write those names down that MC Shan said and do our due diligence in our history. Because you will find that elements of hip hop are in the black community. It's in our DNA, you know? We didn't just create it. It was like marinating, you know, because honestly, if I describe hip hop as anything, it's higher infinite power healing our people, you know? That's what hip hop is. And it comes
the power healing our people. Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah, it comes from it's remembered in our melanin. You know, black children have rhythm when they come straight out the womb. You know what I'm saying? You put a beat on, I don't care, the baby could be 2 minutes old. He'll be like,
that's a fact. I seen it. That's a fact. My little girl, you put on a certain song, she gonna bounce like this, clap the hands, all that type of stuff. She's,
you know, on beat.
On beat.
You know? And that comes from, we learn our rhythm from our mother's heartbeat in the womb. I don't know why we do, but it's important. Rhythmic vibration is what music is, you know? And everything in existence is rhythmic vibration. You know, the difference between solid, liquid, and gas is the rate of vibration of the molecules. So, you know, we're missing something with sound. You know, I believe that the people that built the pyramids used sound to cut and to move and to carry things and all kind of things that we haven't even discovered using frequencies yet. But, you know, we're going to genetically remember things as we keep going on and growing.
Yo, Dice, you mentioned earlier in the conversation that, and I want to circle back to it now, how much being, well, you mentioned it just now. You said this is something that we're born into. It's in our melanin, right? And especially, you know, you mentioned how break beats and B-boys and B-girls was originally stuff that came from Africa, down to our jewelry, the gold and all that stuff that came from Africa. It's not something that we created. It's stuff that was already in us. We just kind of put a new sort of swag on it. Exactly.
Yep.
So I want you to just elaborate a little bit more on that, man, because we spoke about that earlier, and I wanted to circle back on it when we got the chance to. But I'd love to just hear sort of the way you visualize it as far as like connecting the homeland of Africa to hip hop in the Bronx and how it grew from there.
Well, once again, I say that hip hop is the worldwide, united, rhythmic vibration and historic vibe of Afro-Indigenous people. I say that hip hop is a repository of the best of everything that exists on the planet. So if somebody do a dance move in Africa 2,000 years ago and that move was hot, and somebody that had the spirit of hip hop in them saw it, assimilated. Hip hop is the musical version of the Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. If we hear
that's for the Trekkies out there. If y'all some Trekkies.
If we hear a sound and we like it, give me that. That's hip hop now. We hear an instrument, we like it, give me that. It's hip hop now. You know? So that's what we do. You know, we're the ultimate. Hip hop is the ultimate culture vulture because culture, hip hop is the ultimate cultural.
That's a quote right there, man. Listen, we even swagged out the way we call cultural appropriation. The way we call it sampling.
Yep.
We just sampling. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just taking a little bit.
Hey,
what
do you want? We're from the Bronx, man.
Right.
Back in the day, we used to take everything. We used to take your shoes. We took your coat. We took your glasses, your hat, your rings, your watch. your money. In fact, if you get caught in the wrong hood, you might be sent home, running home in your socks and your drawers.
God damn. I'm not gonna hold you, man. Small part of me is glad that I didn't grow up in that era of the Bronx because it was
ultimate poverty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anything you had, you know, and talk about Debo's, man, every 4 blocks you had to beat up a run from a Debo. We had the record number of stick-up kids in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And in fact, our very existence was illegal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was so many places that we couldn't go. You know, and the wild thing about hip-hop, if a lot of people fail to really focus on, is that hip-hop was created by teenagers.
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
We were children. And we evolved what we got from our elders, what we got from Pete DJ Jones and C.C. Howard and, you know, Grandmaster Flowers. We couldn't get in the club because we was too young, and you couldn't get in with no sneakers. There wasn't no Adidas and no Pumas and none of the Nikes. None of that wasn't allowed.
Gotta get it with some hard bottoms.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you needed a silk shirt and a hat on. You know?
Yeah.
And we broke all those rules. We, you know, we got in the clubs with our sneakers. We changed the dress. We changed the dress code. We changed everything. We did everything they told us not to do. Don't touch the records. Don't do that.
There you go. Hold on.
Like, what are you doing? You'll ruin the needles. You're breaking the records. Ah! You know?
I had to throw my old record scratch on there. Hold on real quick.
Right. So, you know, we were rebels, you know. Everything we did was illegal. You know, we didn't have no permits to come out in the park with our equipment. Some people did, but most of us, man, permit, what's that?
Just throw on the bone box and get some tables and some food.
And then we broke open the light pole. That's breaking and entering, destroying public property. Then we cut the wires and rewired the pole so that we could steal the electricity.
Oh, jeez.
Which was theft of services.
And also really dangerous. Like, I'm pretty sure y'all weren't electricians back then either.
They figured it out.
That's
you know?
facts, yeah.
So, I mean, we were congregating without a permit. You know, you wasn't allowed to have more than 4 or 5 people, you know.
In a space.
Yeah, in a space without getting permission for that. And, you know, we broke all those rules, you know. So it's funny now, you know, people always have 20/20 hindsight. But come on, man, you know, everything that's bad that our young people do nowadays was pioneered by us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Anytime gosh, it's funny. It's almost the same situation, but not really. But did you see that video of those little kids doing all like the NBA celebrations, the little 3rd graders or whatever? And everybody was mad at the kids doing all the celebrations and whatever. I'm like, yo, where do you think they got that from? They got that from the older kids, the guys they watch on TV. They're grown men. The same thing in hip hop. Like every couple of years, and we have these conversations on the show all the time. You know, we have some great young artists come through, and you know, Lowkey has an incredible long career of documenting hip hop and just really knowing what he likes and what he doesn't like. And I would say that like there's certain artists that, you know, the general public could be like, oh my God, like clutching their pearls. Like, how could they? How could you say? Da, 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 da. I'm like, y'all don't remember 20, 30 years ago when y'all was doing the same ass shit? Like, that's the same thing.
It's like all the old heads that complain about the women twerking nowadays.
Yeah, like, come on now.
I found a black and white video on YouTube of a whole room full of African American people in the 20s dancing, and everybody in the room was twerking, men and women.
I know for a fact twerking was not invented 10 years ago, okay? Like, I know for a fact. Like, you can find any of the footage. You can see it in grainy black and white. You can see it in the even in the encyclopedias. It was like they used to shake their derrieres
and not
very
just that.
vigorously. And they're like, that's twerking. That is twerking.
Also, people act like they don't remember that Black Betty and many other female artists like Moms Mabley and all kinds. Man, they make Little Kim Blush.
So Moms Maybe was the first, not the first I heard of, but like I know she had they did a documentary on her on HBO, I want to say, and they just like broke down like how many barriers she broke just as far as like the shit she was saying,
Oh
you know
my
what I mean?
God.
Like she was like the first like black comedian potty mouth, like just wild with it.
But there's hundreds of them.
Yeah,
and
she was-
hundreds of R&B records where they're saying shit that would make hip hop blush. It's like, what did she say? Oh my God! You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and you know, there's a whole bunch of things like Dolomite and Jimmy Lynch. And all these old records that were called the Dozens, where they played the blues and they just told jokes and they rhymed, you know?
So did you see the remake of the Dolomite movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, I
did. You get a
did.
chance? What'd you think of that?
I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I like that. I love the message behind it too, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So we're so fortunate that we had all of these incredible ancestors to learn from. And once again, when I started off by saying that hip hop wasn't created in the Bronx, it was incubated in the Bronx. You know, the elements were incubated and the pressure was put on it. You know, the socio-political and economic pressures of being poor in the hood. You know, we didn't have access to Michael Jackson. You know, we didn't have access to Prince and none of these people that we would worship and Luther Vandross and all that. So we became the ghetto superstars ourselves. You know, and now you got Grandmaster Kaz and Grandmaster Melly Mel and Kool Moe Dee and these guys walking down the street. And you could stop them and say, there he is, there he is. Hey, yo, kick me a rhyme, kick me a rhyme. And chances are you luck out.
I feel like that's just a uniquely New York thing, though. Like, New York, like if you pop into New York, you're the celebrity, right? Like it's like we don't go and fan out over other people. It's like, nah, man. Like when and I could only imagine you helping to, you know, popularize hip hop and DJing and all this type of stuff. People coming, you a teenager. People coming up to you thinking like you're God's gift to whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine what it was like back then.
Dude, it was amazing. And I started collecting flyers and stuff back in those days because my brother was a stamp and coin collector. I couldn't get into that.
Yeah.
Then he started collecting comic books. Now he had my attention. And as a comic book collector, hip hop was so perfect and symbiotic. Grandmaster Flash? Flash? That sounds familiar. Grand Wizard Theodore. Cool DJ Herc. You know what I mean? These dudes are like superheroes that you could actually see walking down the block.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they started drawing Spider-Man and superheroes, Iron Man on the hip-hop flyers. You know, the hip-hop flyers made the parties look so cool that even though I was too young to go inside the parties, we would show up outside the parties and listen to the music from across the street.
Just being at the let out was good enough.
You know?
I love that you brought up the comic book comparison because I remember DMC would talk about that a lot, about how much comics and hip hop, especially at that time, especially Marvel as well. Like there was a lot of Marvel stories that were very uniquely hip hop, like the X-Men, you know what I mean? And then Spider-Man being from Queens, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I think Spider-Man is such a uniquely hip hop superhero because one, he's from Queens. You don't really see his face, you know what I'm saying, or his skin really. So when they made him black, when they made Miles Morales, it wasn't that far of a stretch at all. It was just like, yo, he's a poor kid. He's got a bum job being a photographer. You know what I'm saying? Like he's in Queens.
Right. And back in the days, you know, the Marvel Comics was pretty diverse.
Very diverse,
I was definitely a big fan of Luke Cage, Hero for Hire.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And a big fan of course, the Black Panther. You know, Black Panther new to people now. They just learning about Wakanda.
Yeah.
But man, that's old news to me. You know, I haven't had comic book with Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali knocked Superman out in the comic book. You couldn't tell me nothing, baby. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Shout out to the hip hop hero Ali.
Yes, sir. He's one of the first. He's one of the first MCs. Would you say so, Muhammad Ali?
everybody back in them days was saying Ali's rhymes from Busy Bee to Hollywood to Cowboy to everybody.
My goodness, man. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. It's just a
Yeah.
wealth of knowledge and experience.
Absolutely. And we ain't even get to the golden era yet.
We just scratching the surface, man.
You know?
We just scratching the surface.
How long we got? We got time? What we got?
We got a little bit of time. I said we got about 10, 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes about that. But let's get into the golden era, man. I mean, you was there, and now you're immersed, like you said. Bronx was the incubator of hip hop. So all these elements have come into this very specific time and place and city that you're immersed in now.
Right. And me personally, I don't consider the time in the Bronx to be the golden era. I consider the days before music was on wax. I consider that the foundation era.
Okay. Now explain that.
The foundation. The foundation has to, if you're not talking about adding Grandmaster Flowers and Pete DJ Jones and Disco King Mario, those are the founding fathers. You got to give them theirs. And to a lot of artists who came out after Sugar Hill, if you don't give credit to those founding fathers, why do you expect young people nowadays to give you credit? You understand? If you don't have OGs, then you can't be an OG.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of us invented anything. Stop lying. You didn't invent nothing. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that straight. Some people popularized things. Some people were more popular in their areas, but I guarantee you one thing. Whatever was going on in the Bronx, there were similar things going on in Chicago. Similar things going on down south. Similar things going on in LA, Oakland, California. Different, but similar, because hip-hop did not happen in a bubble. It was the black community. Whatever happened in our community is what happened in hip-hop. And still to this day, it's the same thing. People want to clean up hip-hop lyrics. You want to clean up hip-hop, then clean up our community.
I'm going to say something a little controversial. You said something very poignant, because you said certain people helped popularize this. Anything that you thought was popping in New York was probably also popping in Chicago, probably popping in the West Side, popping down South, which is probably true. How much do you attribute just this happening in New York and the fact that there was probably the possibility of, certain folks that lived in Manhattan just a few train stops away could pass by and be like, yo, do you see what's going on uptown? Oh, do you see what's happening in the Bronx? I feel like the fact that this happened in the media capital of the world,
period,
kind of helped, popularize. Like, if the media capital of the world was Houston, Texas, people might have thought like hip hop was born in Houston, Texas.
Right.
But it's hard to really pinpoint exactly when these things happened. But history is told by the victors, and at this point, New York was the victor, and that's why they claimed it.
And the media, they didn't notice Kool Herc and Bambaataa and Grandmaster Flash first. First thing they noticed was the B-boys that were dancing all over Manhattan. And they wanted to know, what are you doing and where is this from? And they got, the Bronx. So if they had went to Queens or Brooklyn, the story would be different.
Yeah.
If they had went to Manhattan, we'd be celebrating whatever arbitrary date is related to Hollywood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, he who gets to tell the story wins in the end. And that's the beautiful thing about us building the Universal Hip Hop Museum in the Bronx that'll be done in 2024, is that we get to open our doors to everybody's story. And we present it on a timeline with facts, with artifacts, and we let people speak for themselves. We allow people to corroborate certain stories, and we don't try to determine what everything is ourselves. We just need to archive everything and let the future decide when, we have better technology and we could really parse these stories and lay them out better.
I love the way you put that, and I wanted to talk about the Hip Hop Museum later, but since you brought it up now, there's been a lot of offshoots. Like I think there's a trap museum in Atlanta by T.I., who helped put that together. There's starting to be there's little wings of hip hop in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all this type of stuff. And it still rubs me the wrong way that we put our hip hop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though like you could just say it's the popular music Hall of Fame. Don't call it rock and roll. Like this isn't rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that's like us being mad at the name hip hop.
This episode is brought to you by Mountain Dew. Last year, Mountain Dew launched the Mountain Dew Real Change Opportunity Fund, a commitment from the brand to make tangible investments in black entrepreneurs. In year 2 of the Real Change Initiative, Mountain Dew is partnering with the HBCU Esports League to put a spotlight on the HBCU student gamers and fuel their drive into their competitive field of esports by launching the Mountain Dew Real Change Challenge. With a focus on increasing black representation in esports and gaming, the Mountain Dew Real Change Challenge will support HBCU student gamers by sponsoring a nationwide HBCU esports tournament. Contestants will compete for an overall prize pool of $500,000, coaching and exposure to esports professionals, and a gaming contract with Mountain Dew for up to 1 year. Gaming fans can tune in to twitch.tv/community, that's twitch.tv/CXMMUNITY on February 25th to catch the final showdown between the top 2 HBCU teams competing in the ultimate game. Okay.
Rock and roll is a term that comes from the black community.
Yeah.
Rock and roll is actually a slang for having sex.
I did not know that. Okay. That's
Come on, baby, let's rock and roll. What do you think they talking about?
They're not talking about just strumming a guitar and hitting drums.
No. And the word jazz also means to have sex.
So I mean, the music and you were born in the 60s, right? They was having lots and lots and lots of sex.
Not just that, but rock and roll and jazz were created by black teenagers.
Yes, facts.
You know what I'm saying? And it's shunned upon, just like hip hop was. You know, for years they used to play the hip hop instrumentals and don't play the lyrics. You know, they used to have radio stations who had taglines: "No rap, no rap." You know?
And they used to pride themselves on that.
Oh, of course.
Those stations don't exist no more in New York.
You know?
They sure don't.
A distant memory.
That was a bad play. Whoever was like, we're not going to play no hip-hop in the birthplace of it. Like, we'll see how long this lasts.
Everyone who said hip-hop was going to die and be a fad did. And guess what?
I'm not laughing at the death. I'm laughing at the delivery. I'm laughing at the delivery.
And hip-hop turned them all into fads.
That's right.
That's crazy.
How about that?
How about that? The power of hip-hop, man. So with your involvement in the hip-hop museum opening up in the Bronx in 2024, is there going to be enshrinement ceremonies like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Is every year they're going to be? What's it going to be like? Is it going to be a collection of artifacts or storytelling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
First of all, I'm the chief curator of the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
It's beautiful.
Which is what's really cool about that is that Highbridge, the community that I was talking about, is walking distance from there. You know, 12-minute walk. I'm in my old hood where I grew up at. So for me to be starting my collection in Highbridge with flyers and memorabilia, to be able to go around the world and travel the way I have, to come back and bring everything that I've archived and collected back to that community is just a dream come true for me, you know, to be able to return that gift of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and all of the things that I've rescued and saved, to bring it back so that young people like me will be inspired by it, you know? I think that's a wonderful thing. Also, I'm the world's first blind curator of a major museum, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's pretty dope, you know what I'm saying, to have the opportunity that I have, you know?
That's real, man. You are walking hip-hop royalty, legendary, and more than that, you're using your time to ensure the history of hip-hop stands the test of time. You saw the fads, and people calling it a fad and all this type of stuff. Like, now you're using, as the chief curator of the Hip Hop Museum, you are ensuring that this
lives on.
It lives on, this
Right.
lifestyle, this genre,
Yeah.
this culture, everything about this lives on way after me, you,
Yeah.
everybody here is even alive. And the 50th anniversary of hip hop being born, there's nothing more beautiful than that.
Thank you, sir. And, you know, I'd like to also say about all the offshoots and all the other museums that are coming up, more power to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't gangbanging with my history. You know what I'm saying? I want to share my history wide and far. And we need other people to collaborate to make this a reality. You know, right now, a lot of the financing that we're getting is coming from government and politicians and stuff like that. But this is our museum, you know? So everybody that's out there sitting around worrying about who's going to control the museum, who's going to do this and that, get off your butt and come and support the museum, and maybe you'll be able to have some influence too. So if you don't want corporate interests to have full control, then put your money where your mouth is.
I was about to say, what's the best way we can support? How can we do that?
Go to the website, uhhm.com, or .org, uhhm.org, and follow the links. You know what I'm saying? What's in your wallet?
Last question before we get you out of here, legend. Let's talk about some of the Latin Quarter, man. Like,
Man, now that to me is the golden era of hip hop.
Okay, all right. Talk to me about it, man. It's the best way to close it out. Let's bring me there.
Well, what the importance of the Latin Quarter was, it was hip hop's first dance club. You know, and we changed the aesthetics. You know, most people went to clubs before then. You would stand around in the b-boy stance and pose all night, wait until somebody performed and then bounce. Well, the Latin Quarter, you are the entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Grab a girl and dance your butt off all night. You know what I'm saying? That was a unique experience that Latin Quarter gave. And we also opened our stage to a new generation of rap stars. You know, when I first went to the Latin Quarter with the Awesome 2, Special K and Teddy Ted, peace, y'all. When I first went there with them, it was Celebrity Tuesdays, you know, and on stage was Melly Mel, Busy Bee, you know, and the biggest stars in hip-hop was Curtis Blow, the Fat Boys, Houdini, Run DMC. And we couldn't afford to put them on stage, so we started putting the new generation on stage. Big Daddy Kane, Queen Latifah, MC Lights, That's a Sonic, Just Dice, Eric B. and Rakim, KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, you know what I'm saying? All of these new groups, you know what I'm saying? Slick Rick, Dana Dane, you know,
Oof.
and, you know.
Hold on, let me put some horns on that. Put some horns on them names real quick.
Yeah, King's Son, Just Dice, Sweet Tea and Jazzy Joyce, Finesse and Sinquist, you know what I'm saying? MC Light, Milk and Giz, all of these, a whole new generation was ushered in. And if you rocked the house at the Latin Quarter on a Friday, you had a record deal on Monday because Russell Simmons, Tommy Boy, Select Records, Fred Maneo, all the people who owned the labels hung out at Latin Quarters because they knew that if they didn't,
That's where the talent was.
They would miss out.
Yeah.
Yep.
This episode of Say Less with Kaz, Lowkey, and ROSY is brought to you by Mountain Dew. Last year, Mountain Dew launched the Mountain Dew Real Change Opportunity Fund, a commitment from the brand to make tangible investments in black entrepreneurs. In year 2 of the Real Change Initiative, Mountain Dew is partnering with the HBCU Esports League to put a spotlight on HBCU student gamers and fuel their drive into the competitive field of esports by launching the Mountain Dew Real Change Challenge. With a focus on increasing black representation in esports and gaming, the Mountain Dew Real Change Challenge will support HBCU student gamers by sponsoring a nationwide HBCU esports tournament. Gaming fans can tune in to twitch.tv/community. That's twitch.tv/CXMMUNITY, January 27th and 28th, and February 17th and 18th to see who advances to the ultimate game. Tell me the best story of you seeing somebody tear down Latin Quarters and then They were right before they were about to blow up.
Oh my God, so many.
Give me the best one you got.
Bismarck, Roxanne Shante, and Big Daddy Kane on stage together. Yeah.
Wait, they were all on stage together.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What was the? Take me there. What was the ambiance like?
First of all, Shante is one of the most gifted freestyle
Facts.
artists ever.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So she would come on and kill it with that feminine element, and then Biz Markie would have you cracking up because he was, he was just a hip hop comedian. He's a, hip hop Chris Rock. Biz, when you see him perform,
Nobody beats the best.
you would just have so much joy that you could see how much he enjoyed what he was doing. And then Big Daddy Kane changed the game with his lyrical dexterity. Big Daddy Kane in the Latin quarters was unmesswittable, period. He had the whole thing. He was good looking. He had the hot haircut. He had the dope jury. He had the Dapper Dan clothes on. He was dancing with Scoob and Scrap.
Yeah.
He had a dope DJ.
BDK was everybody's first favorite MC, I like to say.
You could not follow Big Daddy Kane, Bismarck, and Roxanne Shante.
Jeez, man. to go back, man. I know we wax poetic about the blog era sometimes. To be in those rooms with all those legends in one time, oh my God. It's
well, the dope thing is I'm gonna supply y'all with a bunch of photos that'll corroborate.
Please, we'll get all that stuff.
Yeah, the entire conversation, and I just want to say happy 50th anniversary of hip hop to everybody out there, and I want to say to young people that I think that hip hop is in great hands, in your hands, and I ain't mad at y'all. I'm definitely not mad at y'all for not knowing what we did not teach y'all. So. I love to take this opportunity to reach out to y'all. If y'all work for schools or after school programs or whatever, hit me up. I'm available, to do blogs, to do in-person lectures.
Cartier, Rolex, Gucci, Prada, Jordan, Adidas, Bottega Veneta. At eBay, it's real or it's getting the fake out. eBay's team of luxury authenticators are making sure you never get faked over again. Watches inspected by watch aficionados. Sneakers checked by legit sneakerheads. Handbags examined by handbag connoisseurs. And jewelry in the scopes of expert gemologists. These authenticators are leaders in their field, with meticulous eyes making sure your piece arrives as authentic as your style and worthy of your collection. As experts, they know the true difference between a real and a fake. Real carries that rare, distinguished feel, the weight of pure platinum, exquisite scent of Togo leather, and the tight stitching on a pair of dunks, the brilliance of real diamonds. So rest assured, your Rolex moves just like a Rolex should, and that colorway on your Jordan Royals will always be on point. The details inspected, the fakes rejected. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal with eBay's authenticity guarantee. Everyone deserves real. Visit ebay.com for terms. We'll do podcasts. You're here right now. You know what I'm saying?
And definitely, I thank all the podcasters who are keeping the history of hip hop alive and delivering all of this content to the people that need it the most. And I thank y'all so much for everything that y'all do. And I look forward to vibing with y'all and hopefully having the archive of everything that y'all did in the Universal Hip Hop Museum, where it is the Universal Hip Hop Museum. So we want to know about everything that ever happened in hip hop. If you got some flyers, you got some memorabilia, hey, hit up Paradise at uhhm.org. You know what I'm saying? I want all that. I want everything hip hop, baby. Let's save hip hop for our grandchildren and beyond.
Trust and believe. You're going to have lots of Say Less podcast episodes. Lots of you heard that new blog entries. Lots of Henny Palooza, Duce Palooza footage. We're going to be all up in that hip hop museum, man. Trust and believe, Paradise. And
Say less.
Yes.
Say less.
Hey, put that like that. Let's go.
Say less.
Paradise Grade, absolute legend. Thank you so much for coming to Say Less with Kaz, Lowkey, and ROSY. Like you said, it's important to know where you've been, to know where you're going. I came up under Combat Jack.
That was my man. I love that dude.
I love Combat, man. And anytime I get to really sit down with the real architects and really just get this knowledge that, is right there in front of you if you want to go get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just means so much to me. Yep. So I hope you understand how much I really do appreciate you came and kicked it with us, man. Thank you.
I ain't that tall. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
Hey, baby. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Yes, sir. But that's a wrap for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed Say Less with Kaz, Lowkey, and Rosy. Low, you good? What you on this week?
Man, just chilling.
Yeah. Yeah, we ain't got no dogs in the fight no more, so we just finna enjoy these games this weekend. I guess by the time this drops, we'll know who's in the Super Bowl. So congratulations to whoever's in there. And this has been another episode of Say Less with Kaz, Lowkey, and Rosy. You can catch me on PointsBet USA. My show Count It is live on everywhere. You can find it. Shout out Peter Rosenberg, who came through today. Fantastic human being. Talk some football and basketball. Thank you to catch me on The Ringer, catch me on the Ultimate Royal Rumble this week on Peacock on the pre-show. You catch me there. Catch me on some MSG stuff next week when the Knicks play the Lakers. And catch me here, man. Same damn place, same damn time. You know what we do right here. Like we always do it this time. Stay free, stay safe, and always say less, y'all.
Peace.
Yes, sir. We catch y'all next time. Peace out.